Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andrew Craig from Visit Scotland, and I'd like to welcome you all to this 7th in a series of webinars delivered by Visit Scotland in conjunction with Business Gateway's Digital Boost programme, and it's part of a recovery package of webinars aimed at supporting tourism businesses as they look to reopen when feasible. And hopefully we'll hear more about that this afternoon. Just a quick reminder that all of you are in microphone and webcam off mode. However, if you would like to ask, if you have any queries about managing your online reputation or giving customers reassurance, please ask them via the questions tab in the GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll spend 10 to 15 minutes at the end discussing those questions. I'm delighted to be joined again today by Stephen Whitelaw from Targeting Innovation. Hello, Stephen.
Hi.
And once again, we'll be distributing a link to a PDF version of Stephen's presentation at the end of this webinar, and again, asking for your feedback via a link that we'll display at the end of the webinar. And I'll also try and remember today to put that out in the chat messaging functionality of GoToWebinar so that you've all got access to that feedback link. A quick reminder then that these sessions are all delivered in conjunction with DigitalBoost, and you can all see just now the DigitalBoost screenshot of the DigitalBoost homepage. It's a program which delivers a variety of services for tourism businesses, a lot of them free services, including up to 21 hours of one-to-one specialist digital support. That's subject to your application being authorised by a Business Gateway advisor, and you can apply for those services on the Business Gateway website, which is www.bgateway.com/digitalboost, or by calling into or phoning your local Business Gateway office. At the moment, there are a significant number of webinars and events listed on that website, and there are another 3 webinars aimed at tourism businesses, one of which I'll explain more later, but it's happening tomorrow, also at 2 o'clock. And these are all listed at bgateway.com/events. There are also online guides to 21 digital topics and video tutorials on 9 digital topics as well. So without further ado, I'll now pass things over to Stephen Whitelaw, who is here representing Targeting Innovation, and he's going to be leading today's session. So Stephen, I'll just allow you to share your screen and you can take things away from here. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Andrew. Can you see the screen okay?
Yep.
Hopefully. Unfortunately, I can't.
Yep.
Hold on a second. I'm unable to see my camera. Great. Okay, thank you for coming along this afternoon. A lovely day outside, so great that you've managed to find the time to come along. Andrew said you'll get the slides, so lots of material to get through. This is the kind of outline agenda, reputation, and where people are talking about you and your brand. Online reviews is a big part of that. And then managing those reviews, and maybe touch on personalization and quality assurance schemes as well. So reputation is a kind of, it's an odd thing, it's a kind of a belief or an opinion, I guess, that's generally held about you or your company. And it can be good, some people love you, and with a sad face, some people don't love you. And this is, not sure if he is the richest man in the world, him and Elon Musk seem to fight for it, but Jeff Bezos, who runs Amazon at the moment, is stepping down in the summer. But he's saying here, if you make somebody unhappy in the real physical world, then 6 people find out. But if you make someone unhappy online and the web and the internet, 6,000 find out. So it's a wee bit unfair, I think. What he's saying is, hey, bad news spreads fast, and it does. That's true. But so does good news. And I want to talk about good news and bad news today. So I think if you care, you'll get found out, and if you don't care, you'll get found out. So you might as well care. If you think our grandparents would have done well on this digital web thing with the baker's dozen, going the extra mile because we get found out. So I think that's more fair what Jeff was saying. And this was a slide yesterday, but I've just put up again. Warren Buffett, 20 years to build a brand, 5 minutes to destroy it. So you need to be listening. And I spoke yesterday a lot about social media, and the listening tool in social media is Twitter. In fact, American corporations are hiring chief listening officers at board level, very, very prestigious position, and paying them 300,000 quid. So maybe we should all be doing that. Lots of people online just now, 7.9 billion people on the planet, more than half of them are online, and they're all talking about you. If you look at what people are doing online, you've probably seen this before, it's updated every year. We call it the Internet Minute, what happens online in 60 seconds, and so many snaps created, and so many people downloading TikTok movies, and there's 1.6 million swipes on Tinder. It doesn't say if they're left or right. But if you think about it, there's so much going on, and people's time is very precious. People are trading on their instincts, and we have to take shortcuts in life. And guess what? Reviews are shortcuts. People trust reviews. So big data, there's lots of data being created just now, and hopefully you're gathering data in your organization. But big data makes lots of companies money. And there was more data created last year than there was in the last 5,000 years, and the data is doubling. It's hard to get your head around that mathematical, and things double. Someone said there was more data created in the last 24 hours than all of the 1960s. So there's lots of data, and your organization should be maybe capturing that. Just as a thing to know, if somebody said something naughty about you online, or you've done something naughty and it's there, the traditional advice would be to, something in the Dundee Courier or the Mulgine Bearsden Herald, there's an article, or somebody's written something, and someone Googles your brand, your company, your name, and it appears, and it's embarrassing. What companies manage your reputation, they would say, right, we'll set you up on Twitter, we'll get you on Facebook, get you on Pinterest. And that's true. These big social media platforms are massive companies, and they're highly ranked in Google. They come up top. So does Wikipedia. Maybe Wikipedia, I don't know if I do that. So that's one way of moving bad news down, is to register for all of these major social media platforms. And if you end up on page 2, nobody goes there, so you should be okay. Also, another bit of armory for you is Google have this thing called RTBF, the right to be forgotten, and it's worth knowing about. So these are the 2 links at the bottom. It was originally in Bing. So say, for example, you're a visitor attraction and somebody types your name into Google. The first thing that comes up is a YouTube video. And the reason it's come up is it's very, very, very popular. It almost went viral, but it's not very nice. It's about someone doing something horrible or being sick or something at your reception. But it was quite funny at the time, but it's actually above your brand. And it's now, you want rid of it. Well, you can't just go into Google and remove it from YouTube, but you can contact Google. You fill in the form here and you say, I would like this link. It could be a video, it could be a newspaper article, to be removed from the Google index. And Google they grant about 40% of requests at the moment. If it's in the public interest, they're not going to, if it's news and it's up to date, they won't remove it. But so it's another tool. If something's been written about your organization that's, it's hundreds of years ago, this is mad, it was a previous ownership, there was another director, a big scandal, and it just still appears because it's in a high-ranking site, a big newspaper. So you can contact Google. And I've done this for lots of people, and it does work. You have to do Bing and Google, obviously. Well, you don't have to do Bing, but if you want it to be removed from Bing, you have to. But slightly more extreme, not suggesting you do this, but if you did want to just totally opt out, there's a couple of sites, deleteme.com and the Suicide Machine. They remove everything, your Twitter, your Facebook, your Pinterest, in one button. You just give them the username, the password, and everything's removed. Your Google My Business. So a bit extreme. Hopefully you don't have to do that. So in Scotland, we're saying the biggest factors unlikely to influence people's impression of your business, the quality of the service, the product, and the price. So, the quality, service, and price, really important things. And people are saying 3/4 of people would pay a little bit more, 5% more for a better experience. 10% would pay a quarter more. So these things are important, and as I say, you get found out when you have a good product and you have good service. You can always, if you're a restaurant, you can buy beautiful organic food and you can spend zillions of pounds on waterfalls and ambials, but it's the service is the differentiator, and it's the same in many businesses. Is the service is the difficult one. So you do want to encourage feedback. You essentially want to ask for feedback, ask people for feedback. I'm saying that again, but make it easy. Okay, it has to be simple. This may be a bit extreme, giving people 800 numbers and emails and comment cards, but there's lots of places in a visitor journey that you can gather feedback. Okay, so the pre-visit, arriving, some of this can be automated. If using Expedia, they'll do an arrival email. How were you greeted? And with staff, with people, comments cards, asking people. So all through the customer journey, you should be gathering data, gathering feedback, asking people, put them in till receipts, electronic devices, and of course when they leave as well, you'd be just asking for a review, keeping in contact, sending them a survey, phoning them. So many ways to gather information. But the important bit is, and once you've gathered all that information, also focus groups is what do you do with it? And this is kind of sad statistics. So lots of you out there are gathering information, and that's good. Gathering feedback, that's very, very good. And 50% of people let staff know about it, and only 30% make decisions based on that. And it's just minimal, informing customers and deploying and improving. So you do need to take action with the data that you collect. So here's a very simple example. It's a spreadsheet thing, and it could just be a piece of paper, it could be a spreadsheet, a CRM system, but if there's a complaint or a comment and it's in a room, that was the date, what was the problem, this was the problem, what's happened, right? Someone's been called, and what's the follow-up detail or contact? Same again, complaint in a restaurant, was the problem, vegetables were too hard. So what we're going to do, we're going to boil them more. That letter to the customer, and somebody's signed that, so someone's taking responsibility for that. It can be a compliment, it can be a complaint. Some countries, I don't know, European countries, quite a number of European countries, every shop, every restaurant, every bar, even cinemas have a complaints book. And I don't think we have that here. But so 4 key questions you want to be asking: what did you like about us, our service? What did you like about the product? What could we have done better? Do you have any suggestions for us? And would you recommend us and why? So people are talking about you all the time, and it's getting easier and easier to find out what people are saying, not just with Twitter. You can set up Hootsuite. I did mention this briefly yesterday. The Hootsuite is free for up to 3 products. So, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, you can set it up for. But if you set it up for Twitter, you can set up columns, thousands of columns. And in these columns, you can be looking for people mentioning things, people mentioning your brand. If someone's mentioned your brand, what's the sentiment? Is it something nice? Is it bad? Is it a complaint? You need to know. You don't want to be the last person to find out. Social Sprout as well is a great tool for that. You can measure responses and get feedback. Very, very important. And of course, I did cover this yesterday as well. Within Twitter, there's a free tool called Tweetdeck. And it's like Hootsuite, but it only works for Twitter. But again, Twitter's the powerful tool, the listening tool, listening for recommendations, listening for complaints. Google Alerts, if you're not, it's quite a blunt, basic tool, but immensely powerful. And if you're not using this, I think this would be the biggest takeaway from today. Set up Google Alerts, totally free, 5 seconds to set up. And what does it do? Well, you just go to Google Alerts and I type in here hotels in Glasgow, and there's all the mentions today of hotels in Glasgow. Who knows what they have, but that's not actually what I'm interested in. I want to create an alert. So if somebody mentions hotels in Glasgow, I'll get notified instantly. Now you can say how often in there I'll be able to say as it happens, and that might be a bit much. Or I could say just once a week. I'm not that interested in. There's museums in Edinburgh. I'm very interested in museums, but just once a week's enough. Send me an email to my Gmail once a week when museums in Edinburgh are mentioned. And you can say in what language. I've said English. Only local people stay in the UK. Or you can also say from what sources. From blogs or news articles about museums in Edinburgh, or just everything. So it's a very, very powerful thing. It gives you an update. And you can use this to monitor mentions of your company. Right? If you put your company's name in there, put your company name every time you're mentioned in a blog, a news article. And if I would say for your company, you would want to be notified instantly. So send me an email instantly. I'm mentioned in a tweet or a blog, or you could keep track of competitors. Put 5 or 6 competitors in there as well. Find out what's going on. So very, very, very powerful to do. If you're going to put your own company name and say they were called South Star Outbound Travel, they might not mention your full name in a tweet or a blog. So maybe sort of concatenate it, South Star Travel, South Star Travel, South Outbound Travel, put your URL in your website, just to make sure that, if somebody mentions South Star Travel, you're going to catch them. Whether they do Outbound Limited or Outbound Travel Limited, you'll capture them on Google Alerts. So it's a great tool. And if you want to find out someone saying something naughty about you, you might find your brand with the word scam, rip-off, sucks, terrible, awful, bad service. If you're looking for negative mentions of the sentiment, or put lovely words if you want as well to find out positive. So I don't know if any of you use Twitter lists. I've used them for a long time and find that lots of people use Twitter, and lists are one of the hidden secrets of Twitter. I'll quickly show you a list that I've got set up here. So this is, I thought I had it set up. Yes, I've created a list called Museums I Love, and it's private. You can create a public list or a private list. And why would I create a list called museums I love? If I go in to edit the list, you'll be able to see the members. I've added in Museum Sheffield, NNS, who else is there? Museum of London, Vulture Museum, Imperial War Museum. I've added 5 or 6 museums in there. And if you notice, I didn't follow it. I follow NNS. I'm on the board. I have to follow them, right? So I follow NNS. I don't follow, I'm quite interested in these museums, but not interested enough to follow. I don't want to, because, some of them are pumping out tweets on the hour, every hour, but just too much. But I would go to, I'm interested in the Imperial War Museum, but not enough to follow them. I'm interested in the Museum of London. So lists are a really powerful thing for sort of competitor analysis, if you like. You could put competitors in there, competitors nearby, or other visitor attractions. So really, really powerful, and not many people use them. It's kind of sad. Keep my mouse out of the way. Facebook also has the ability to watch competitors, or watch anybody, but you can use competitors. So I've added a couple in here: Tripadvisor, Intrepid Travel, an Australian company, the Hilton Hotels in Glasgow. And in my Facebook Insights, if I've got a page, I'll be able to see how many, what they've done this week, and click on Intrepid Travel and see all their posts and see the engagement, likes, comments, shares, so I can keep up to date with what they're doing and the feedback and how successful their campaigns run. Reviews are critical, and reviews are not just there for fun. So reviews help you build trust, and they create relationships, and you can spot trends with reviews, and you can find out your weaknesses, and you can also identify what makes you special as well. So people do believe reviews. They do, TripAdvisor would have vanished many, many years ago if it was just into obscurity nonsense. People believe what people say. So, I won't book a property unless it's got reviews. 50% don't even book, has to have a review. So you can't not have reviews. This is a very exciting product. It's quite an expensive product, and I suspect wherever you're based, your local destination marketing organization may have a subscription to it. And what it allows you to do is compare yourself, your guest house, your hotel, even your city, with others. So, I could compare Wi-Fi in Aviemore with Wi-Fi in Amsterdam, or we're the cleanest hotel in Edinburgh, or the most friendly restaurant in Scotland, or something. So it's a very, very powerful tool. A lot of the large DMOs use it to compare with other destinations. Maybe you can go with Dublin or Paris or Amsterdam or other places that people might go. So it's a really powerful tool. So try and find out somebody who's managed to afford the license. It was quite expensive, but it's a great tool for doing comparisons to find out where you are. If you're in a city in Edinburgh, we're the 5th in TripAdvisor for or accommodation, but actually we're the best. We've got the best Wi-Fi, the friendliest greet, and we're the cleanest. So you can always boast about something. There are many review systems, and this is quite a popular one, and I see it a lot, and I like it. It's a good review system, and it's got a lot of positive things about it. They're genuine reviews, they're trusted reviews. It's actually people who stayed at your self-catering property. So lots of self-catering use this. My only concern about it is, you'll only get one review, and nobody's really heard of it. I've heard of it, you've heard of it because we're in the industry, but some American tourists probably never heard of it from heard of TripAdvisor. So that's my worry about it. They do send automated emails out for you. They're trusted reviews. It's a lovely little system. So it's a tough one to, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's part of Super Control. If you have an online booking system, your web booking engine is Super Control. This comes with it. You can switch it on, and it is a good system. But is it recognised? And as you'll come to say, you're probably only going to get one review. You can't say, "Oh, I need a Facebook review and a Google review, and I love TripAdvisor," because you got, geez, they're going to have to spend a couple of weeks reviewing after they've come and gone. Review mainly for products, e-commerce again. Trustpilot, very popular for places as well. Review Centre, there's so many. FIFO is popular with restaurants, and these are trusted. They eat in your restaurant. Judge Me is also very popular. And Trust You, that's more of a consolidator. It was used by Visit Scotland for a while, but it's still used by Google. If somebody looks for places to stay or things to do in Google or hotels or restaurants, and they click on this little question mark, it says all these reviews. They've amalgamated Expedia reviews, Booking.com, all the reviews you can imagine. So worth knowing about Trust You and learning about it. But of course, TripAdvisor is the one that's very, very, very hard to ignore. The statistics are mind-blowing. It's one of the biggest, it is the biggest travel brand in the world. It's recognised, it's known everywhere. It's got that, apart from China, but it's got another name. It's New Zealand, Malaysia, it's called TripAdvisor. Everybody understands, everybody knows it, and people are begging for TripAdvisor reviews. TripAdvisor have just recently launched this. Patrick from Visit Scotland told me about it. I wasn't aware of it. It's not quite in the UK yet, but definitely worth finding out about. It feels a bit sort of like deals, like Groupon-ish, and it's for the consumer subscribes to this. They buy TripAdvisor Plus. I guess TripAdvisor right now aren't making any money, and maybe this is a way just to make money and whatever. But it's $99, so it might be £99 in the UK. The consumer buys it. TripAdvisor are claiming you'll make this back in 2 hotel trips or 2 visitor attractions. You make it back and basically go to 2 places. So when you are TripAdvisor Plus, you'll be offered, as it says, perks and deals and offers and discounts and 2-for-1s. But it means you, as a visitor attraction, if people are appearing saying TripAdvisor Plus, they're looking for deals, they're expecting deals. So I suspect with TripAdvisor behind it, it may take off. If you think of Google have got so many amazing products that I was excited about, like Google Trips, gone. Google Touring Bird, gone. They were all amazing travel products from Google. So all from Area 120. Just about a few myths about TripAdvisor. A lot of people think, oh, mainly fake reviews. It's not. Mainly real reviews. Yeah, but they're all bad. They're all one. It's not. The average review is 4-point-something, 4.1. I think it's slightly higher than that. So, the average reviews are good reviews. And after people have been somewhere, it's always a good idea to try and capture a review as early as you can. But once they've been, you notice attractions receive the highest percentage of views, followed by hotels, and finally restaurants. So if you're a restaurant, maybe try and capture them at the table or as they leave, or a QR code or something. This is TripAdvisor stats. When people visit 40 websites before booking, 77% will read reviews, 53% won't book it, 62% book. Looking at management responses, because the human behaviour is 5,000 5-star reviews, 2 bad reviews, dirty fort, wedding from hell, and we go there. That's what we do. That's what humans do. We know it's an amazing hotel. We know it's gorgeous. We know the ambience and the food's lovely, but we read the 2 bad reviews, and it's the management response. What did they say? And the management said, "Oh, we don't care about Americans." But gee, that's awful. It's just really bad. So the management response is critical. And you want lots of reviews, and as you'll find later, the ranking within reviews. So why am I, things to do number 4 out of 50 or hotel number 3 out of 100? And that's the ranking within not just TripAdvisor, all the review systems. And the number 1 factor for all the review systems for ranking is volume, number of reviews. So you do want to be begging for reviews. Review Express is a good way to get more reviews or get extra reviews. Essentially, TripAdvisor through Review Express will send out an automated email, and it's kind of co-branded. So it's got the TripAdvisor logo and your little logo on it. So, people recognize the TripAdvisor. They can't remember they stayed with you. Getting reviews removed on TripAdvisor, well, it's difficult. And essentially, they're not going to remove opinions. So if someone said, "Oh, I found the rooms quite stuffy," and you said, "But we've got expensive air conditioning." It's not. It's tough. That horrible man's opinion, and it's just going to be there. Even they're not stuffy, I know, but they won't remove it. And you maybe ask him to remove it, but he won't. But blatant ones, if somebody's like profanity and everything, they'll remove it. Right? If they're swearing, just irrelevant nonsense, they'll remove. If somebody's blackmailing and threatening you, if it's a threatening in a review, like I want another night stay for free, and I'm going to come and get you, so that's threatening. Oh yeah, I stayed there. It was 3 years ago. Right, a review. No, it has to be in the last 12 months. Or rumours like, "Oh yeah, my wife stayed there. She never liked it. She thought it was horrible." You have to review for yourself. You can't review for somebody else. So if it's an ancient review, or they're threatening, or using horrible language, or they're reviewing on behalf of someone, they'll remove it. Otherwise, it's tough. It's really, really hard. Best area is the business management center within TripAdvisor. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there that will help you with reviews. You can ask if you get any problems. People reviewing everything. This is hotel rooms. People taking pictures. This is on YouTube. Just seconds. I remember when I was young, there was a TV program called That's Life on TV, and it was Esther Ranson. And if you went to a sort of campsite or a holiday somewhere, it was pretty awful. You took a photo with your Kodak camera and came home and got it to help the chemist. 2 weeks later, you got the photo and put it in an envelope and stuck a stamp on it and licked it, wrote the letter and sent it off to her. And 2 weeks later, she got the letter, and maybe she'd open it. Maybe it would be on the show, 3 months later. But this is a video, and he just goes upload. And 5 seconds later, 6,000 people have seen the bedroom. Or people review aircraft meals. People review aircraft seats. They're reviewing everything. This is a really one. There's hundreds of channels called Full Flights on YouTube. It's quite alarming that people sit through this stuff. So I don't know if you know this. This is a video that's 17 hours, 13 minutes long. I watched the first 5 minutes at takeoff, London Heathrow, and the landing at Perth Airport. It was quite interesting. But there's 16 and a half hours in the middle, and people watch it all the way through. The comments are unbelievable. The complaints, people say, what happened? It went blank. Oh, you had to change the battery. I'm really sorry. Oh, it should have been a backup. Unbelievable. And there's also the longest flight in the world is New Zealand. It's New York to Singapore Airlines, and it's about 18 to 19 hours. And there's literally thousands of reviews of that, the actual whole flight. So if you've got a crummy offering, people will find it pretty fast. And if you've got a lovely offering, people will find it pretty fast. We're living through a very, very special time just now in history. If you think of all the big media revolutions, the printing press changed the world. It changed everything about the world. It took control to the people, the masses, and the telegraph was the same, and the huge TV, radio, big media revolutions. All of those were one-to-one or one-to-many relationships at best. This is the 21st century. This is many-to-many. So we're living through this expressive capability. Everybody has their say. And in some ways, you don't even own your brand. It's just out there. You're just looking after it. You're creating it. And do people trust user-generated content? Yeah, they do. Tends to be younger people trust it more than older people. Older people like to read things. Maybe younger people trust what other people say. Do online reviews impact bookings? 93% say the booking decision was impacted by an online review. 96% of people said reviews are important when booking. So here's, yes, people listen to TV and radio and they read newspapers, of course they do. But the younger generation and more people now are believing what other people say. Tripadvisor in the very early days used to be a bit crummy. I remember going on, I was going somewhere in Europe, and it said, oh yeah, this hotel's really nice, Mustafa Ahmed Abdullah from Penang. Said it was great. And I'm like, who's he? Where's Penang? I don't even know him. It just doesn't mean anything to me. And then it was my friends, Andrew and Mary, and I was like, and Leslie said it was amazing, the best food ever. She's a foodie. That's my validation done. I don't have to read it. She's critical. And she said it was to die for. The food was amazing, the service done. So now it's your friends on TripAdvisor, which makes a huge difference. Don't miss out videos as well. Online travel videos influence the early stage, people researching a destination, they're looking at videos. And it can be user generated as well, looking at other people's videos. So as I said about ranking, so this isn't, it says here for TripAdvisor, this is for every review system you can imagine. These are the ranking factors. So this is like SEO within TripAdvisor, okay? So the first one is the number of reviews. You want lots of reviews. It sounds obvious, but you need to be begging for reviews. The next one is, what did the review? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the next one is 1/T, a time decay factor, how recent it is. So I'm sitting here and you're sitting there, and it's easy for me to say you want lots of good recent reviews. If I've got 2 reviews and you've got 2,000 reviews, you'll probably be above me. However, if my 2,000 reviews are from 12 years ago and yours are from yesterday, you may be above me. So this is important, the recency factor. There's a good way to get reviews because nobody knows, is it TripAdvisor or is it Advisor? No, it's neither of them. It's https://www. Gee, have I got to type all that into my browser? Where's the, no one's going to leave you a review. It's too complex. Well, now with track and tracing, everybody's got a QR code reader, or most of the phones, Androids and things will now resolve with the camera. You point your camera and it goes to tripadvisor.com/your hotel, and they just go, love it, awesome, done. 2 seconds and they can leave. They're not going to review that if you miss them. Here's coming off a tour. Give us a review. We love you, please. Make it easy for them. The little QR codes are so easy to create. Remember, a QR code can ring a phone and send a text. Normally it goes to a website, a URL. You'll get bad reviews, and this is a funny one. It says, come in and try the worst salad one woman in TripAdvisor ever had in her life. She thought, must have been bad. And, we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes, but this person's tried to turn it into something positive. Here's my take on responding to negative reviews. So it's just what I think. Brian helped me out with something here as well. So he added something in. So calm down. You remember the man when he came in, he was horrible, he was nasty, he was really horrible. And everything, he's left a very horrible review about your business. It's going to be there forever. He said things that are just awful. So really calm down. Wait a day. Just calm the emotions down. Right now you've calmed down. He's gone 2 days away. And don't just cut and paste some answer from, you can see when it's cut and paste. Try not to attack the man as much as you want to. He's left horrible things about your business. Try and show empathy. Try and sympathise with them. Say, I'm really sorry. We're very embarrassed about what's happened to you. We're a quality organisation. It's like, whatever happened to him, and try and address the issues. We're checking our letters for slugs or whatever his issue was. But here's the killer from me, because I'm geeky. It's really, really, really important. So basically, say you're sorry, right? Be nice, try and say you're sorry. As much as you want to attack the man, he's horrible, try and show some empathy. But this is the killer. The number 8, rather, don't mention your business name in the response to a negative review, because Google indexes things like Tripadvisor, it gets inside. So I used to stay at this hotel up in Aberdeenshire, a beautiful hotel. As I say, 5,000 5-star reviews, 2 bad reviews. When I typed in the name of the hotel, the thing that came above the www.thishotel.com was the 2 bad reviews in Tripadvisor. And because in the reviews they said, at the ABC Hotel, we're very embarrassed that your bed sheets were dirty. But just say, in a positive review, of course, hey, really love you, Edinburgh Castle, thank you for leaving the lovely review, we love you too. But put your brand, your product name, yourself inside the response to a positive review, never negative, because it hurts you. It says an aggressive management response to a bad review makes hotels look worse. It sure does. Most people think that. These are funny reviews, but they're funny to read, but they're not really funny. Arrived at 6 p.m, found nobody around. The guy's moaning, it was rubbish, terrible, place is awful, blah, And then the response was, honestly, what do you expect? You pay little, you get cheap, or a budget hotel, get real. It's quite funny, but that's there forever and it's rude. Here's another one. This was the Muckrack Lodge Hotel in Granton, a beautiful hotel. And this, I must add, was under previous management. There's new management there, and they spent a lot of money in the hotel, new staff, which is amazing. And that's another problem. But somebody said, oh, it's blooming awful. This guy said, we sold the hotel. We no longer care what you think. To be truthful, we didn't even care what you think when we had the place. We just had to force ourselves to pretend we gave a flying push about your illiterate, ill-informed, mindless pro. Are you really an expert in anything other than your own nasal? It just goes on. And they're classic reviews. They were so funny, but they're not really. They're funny for us, but you just don't want to do this, okay? Now, Muckrack Lodge Hotel took over this hotel. They bought it, they spent fortunes on it. It's absolutely beautiful. And they ended up with all these old reviews. Now, remember the 1/T, the time decay factor? So they were they were not affecting them, but they were still there. You could see them. So it took a while for them to convince TripAdvisor to say, actually, yeah, it's still called the Muckrack Lodge Hotel, but it's new management. The place doesn't even look the same. It's new staff. Everything's the same. Everything's different. And they removed the old reviews. So if you pester TripAdvisor enough, they will remove old reviews. And not all reviews are real. This was, if no one's seen this movie, it's a very odd, unusual, interesting movie called The Grand Budapest Hotel. But lots of people have flown, believe it or not, they've flown to Eastern Europe to find the Republic of Zabranovich and tried to find the Grand Budapest Hotel. There's lots of reviews here of it. And TripAdvisor said, this is a fictional place, as seen in the movie. Please don't try to visit it. People tried to sue TripAdvisor, sue them to say, look, we read the reviews, it sounds amazing. The reviews are actually very, very, very clever. The reviews are about the movie. It's really interesting reviews. They're doing it as if they were there, but they're actually reviewing scenes in the movie. It's fantastic. It says some positive reviews, sort of. I love this place. It's amazing, delicious food. Highly recommended. Gosh, that sounds good there. Yeah, it's English and it's been written by a human. Not English and it's not written by a human. These were written by a bot. Gosh, a blooming robot wrote this. So there's technology out there that. So now not only do we have trusted reviews, fake reviews, we've got bot reviews, we've got non-trusted reviews, quite a complex subject review system. So bot reviews are out there. This is a product I personally use and I recommend you have a look at it. There's a couple. FakeSpot is a little plugin for an extension for Chrome, the browser, on your PC or your Mac. And if you're buying something on eBay or Amazon, or you're staying in a bed and breakfast somewhere, it just says, the 20 reviews of the bed and breakfast, those 9 are fake. Don't even look at them, they're fake. So there's no point in looking at them, they're made up, they're fake. It's quite clever technology, it uses machine learning. Google My Business isn't really a social network, it's that thing on the right-hand side of the search engine results page, and it's quite important, and you should fill in as much detail as you can here. If you go into your Visit Scotland page, fill in as much data, as much pictures and videos as you can. Same with your Tripadvisor, as much information as you can, and same here. Don't just register the business, upload maps and photos and 360s and logos and staff pictures behind the scenes. There's questions and answers. There's Facebook messages, Google messaging. There's also Google products. So if you're selling a product, you can actually sell products from this homepage, do e-commerce, have bookings, you can do deals. Very, very, very powerful. But there's reviews in here as well. And you might be thinking another review system. This is a very hard one. If you register for Google My Business, it comes up. It comes up. The reviews are there. You can't turn them off. And there's 5 horrible words in the English language. If you don't have reviews, it says be the first to review. Right? Be the first to review. That's a dreadful thing to see about a business, and lots of travel businesses in Scotland have got that. And it just means something's wrong. Nothing's wrong. It's an amazing place. We've been going for 100 years. Yeah, but be the first to review. Remember, some tourists, that's not a clue. They don't want to be the first. Maybe you went bust. Maybe they don't care. Maybe it's rubbish. None of that's true. But be the first to review. So at least get your granny to write a review. Don't have one review at least. Have a lot. And if someone says something, say thank you. Just do it out of politeness. So many big brands they just ignore them. It's a shame. This just the examples of the reviews here. So you can see the V&A in Dundee's nearly 5,000 reviews. This was about a week ago, so maybe more. Royal Yacht and Glasgow Sound all got around 5,000 Google reviews. And these people respond to them if you go and click. It's great. They've got people that respond. Someone says something nice, you just have to say thank you. Don't ignore them. This is an example of someone who didn't have a Google My Business. So that Google My Business page here, basically it's called the Google Knowledge Graph. And if you don't have something there, Google will put Google My Business. If you've got Google My Business, if you don't have Google My Business, Wikipedia goes there. If you don't have Wikipedia, Wikidata. If you don't have Wikidata, Freebase. And then just rubbish appears. Oh, that's our old phone number. That's the wrong address. It just guesses. So this is a company in the UK, Greg's, my goodness. They didn't have a Wikipedia. They didn't have a Google My Business page, right? So what appeared is the wiki. And some kid went into the Greg's Wikipedia, a 15-year-old kid, and changed the logo to something quite rude. And this is the lady who worked there. She was their social media person at the time. She said, help Google, we don't have a Google page, Google My Business page, she meant. And then, hey, Google UK, fix this and these are yours, a bit of banter. She's terrified. And then, oh, sorry to hear that, Greg's the baker's were right away. So, basically someone changed the logo to something rude because so a Google My Business protects your reputation. At least that is, you're controlling it. That is your phone number. That is our logo. That is our photo. Some people can put inappropriate photos up, report them. I think Trump International, the hotel, for a while was receiving some horrible photos that you can. Yeah, that was the final one. I'm going to do a doodle for you tomorrow. They didn't do that. You can also personalize things and make things a little fun. So this is a guy who used to stay at a hotel, and the hotel said, but it's a bit creepy. They follow him on Twitter, the guest, and they checked him out. And you notice he always mentions his family, tweets them. He says, oh, I always look for monsters under the bed. So they said, welcome to San Diego Hotel, Ben. Checked under the closet, under your bed. There's no monsters. You're good to go. And it's a bit fun. It's less kind of just fun. And when people are tweeting about you, so that didn't cost anything. Thank you for tweeting. I mean, it's so lovely. Imagine seeing that in your bedroom when you come back. You're like, wow. It means they care. It means they're listening. And you mentioned them. You said something nice. So that doesn't cost a lot of money. This was an odd one. It's a guy who tweeted. Believe it or not, it's quite creepy because you can find when your friends are tweeting in real time. You can set Tweetdeck up just for tweets within a 5-meter radius of the hotel. That's in the hotel. And this guy ate one of the Twix, half-eaten Twix bar, and he said the room was a bit dusty under the bed. So they said, we've had the duty manager and the room's been deep cleaned and some nice Twixes for you. A lot of people don't get to meet the room service staff, and quite often you get a wee card that says, I'm John, I'm Mary, that I'm cleaning your room. So this one, the hotel staff cannot guarantee additional requests, but if you have any requests, and this guy said, if it's not too much trouble, if you could build a fort out of pillows, and they built a fort out of pillows. This one, the guy said, if you could provide a picture of a dog dressed as a boat captain. It's kind of bizarre, but just light-hearted, making things fun. If you could please draw a picture of what you think I look like in the chamber, maybe do this. So just kind of serious fun. We're in a funny time just now, COVID-19. Well, it's not funny, it's very serious for business. And there's many businesses may not open up. It's kind of sad, but I think cleanliness is we're not germaphobes, but going forward, where things have changed, we're going to have to talk about distancing and cleanliness and hygiene and make people feel safe. There's COVID-19 updates from Edinburgh Zoo saying they opened just recently to members, which was unusual, but they've opened up. But that was an update on their Google My Business page. This is NMS all over it. They were open museum closures, very clearly telling people we're doing distancing, we're not opening yet, we'll be open soon. This was an odd example, and I looked into it quite deeply. Someone said to me, there's no mention of COVID, no mention of this, nothing. And this was in the first lockdown. I looked at it, it's a lovely website, very busy place, it's a lovely place. And I thought, that's odd. And there's still no mention, nothing. It doesn't come up and saying, hey, we're masks, or we're doing distancing. But I looked deep inside the website, and there is mentions of it. And they're doing deep cleaning, they're doing a great job. And it's not visible. It needs to be highly visible. It needs to be on the front page. They've kind of turned it into something quite romantic up at Meldrum House in Aberdeenshire. It looks lovely. dome dining outside. That was absolutely wonderful. But again, I was in a hotel just between one of the lockdowns, and they have this thermal imaging, and it's quite fun, the little hand thing. And I said to the guy, it's lovely. And he said, oh, it's a Chinese system at £10,000. Gosh. But the hand sanitizing stations certainly aren't that expensive. But people are looking for all this now. They're looking for signage about distancing. Say, oh, they care. They care. They've gone the extra mile. They're interested in this. And maybe they don't see this, but maybe you should mention this if you're doing deep cleaning, or mention that that's happening between guests. Obviously, these are standards. This is we're good to go now. Patrick told me 7,500 businesses in Scotland have applied for this and been granted it. It is a self-certification, so you go through a process. But Visit Scotland do random checks, so be honest. They may phone you and check. So it's in all over UK, all over Britain. People are recognising this site now. So 70% of visitors are looking for this, and they're aware of it. They know about it. Staycation visitors, for sure, they know about this stuff. It's definitely worth looking at if you've not already done it. And again, other quality assurance schemes for reputation, star grading, and for food. So lots to do. Just a couple of takeaways. We're kind of finishing early, actually. Yeah, we finished a little early. So decide on what review platforms you're going to go for. It is a difficult one for many review platforms. There's Facebook, kind of abandoned reviews. It's recommendations, but there's Facebook's there. Google My Business is close to impossible unless you don't register with Google My Business, and then you don't control your brand. And then we talked about things. Even Super Control have got the upfront reviews. Is that a great review system? But do people recognise it? And then whatever you do, don't just say Mary from Essex likes this. We know you made that up. People sort of BS radars. We know that's just made up. It has to be an independent review system. And Judge Me, or Trustpilot, or FIFO. But TripAdvisor is, I'd say, you have to go with TripAdvisor. Now, lots of people can't go with TripAdvisor. I'm aware of that. Probably going to fill up the Q&A, so hopefully I can get some help with this. I know if you're a holiday let, they just don't. Well, yeah, you have to register with holidayletting.co.uk and pay them money to get a listing. But there's certain people are not allowed on it. Obviously, tour guides and things. You don't get listed, but sightseeing and the things to do. But Viator, which is owned by TripAdvisor and to be called TripAdvisor Experiences, that's you can get listed there. You can get a listing there. They allow you to. So certain travel organisations can't get on TripAdvisor. It's just the rules. They make the rules. But Viator, you may be able to get on Viator, or maybe Airbnb Experiences. You need to actively manage your reviews. So I know lots of beautiful visitor attractions. They've got amazing reviews. Nobody's ever said thank you. I just think it's odd, because in the real world, if someone walked past you and said, you know what, that's the most amazing night of our life, that's the most beautiful meal, that's the loveliest tour, you wouldn't say just ignore people when they say it. Don't look at them in the eyes, just walk past them. You would say thank you, that's really nice. I'll let Julie know, or I'll let the management know, or I'll let Andrew. Someone said something lovely. So just say thank you. And again, if they say something not nice, well, you know what to do. Calm down, take your time. Don't waste and potentially say sorry. Try and put it right with empathy, but don't mention your brand in the response to the review. A review systems and reputation can be viewed as an opportunity to engage, because it does build trust with people. People look at them and you read them and you believe them. You're creating a relationship with people, and you can use it to spot trends to say there's been a lot of nice things said about this, or not nice things said about this. So these are our weaknesses. We need to improve in this area. We've got overall very good, but the negative complaints are all about this. The tennis courts or something, it's all slippy or something. People are falling. Maybe they need cleaned. So, or they just identify all the things that you're special for. And of course, the tools to manage your online reputation. Looked at Google Alerts. It's a very, very powerful tool, and Hootsuite and TweetDeck. So that's the agenda we went through. Looked at online reputation, where people are mentioning your brand, online review systems, managing those reviews, a bit of fun and personalization, and the quality assurance. So I've kind of finished about 10 minutes early, so apologies. I'm not sure what the announcement in Parliament was today. I think Nicola was making an announcement about hospitality, so we'll find out.
Thank you very much, Stephen.
Okay.
Great. There's a few questions that I'd like to cover, if that's okay with you. But if anyone else has any other questions, please feel free to send them in just now. Before we come to those questions, I'll just make sure that I'm sharing my screen so that you can all see details of the sessions that are coming up over the next few weeks. So we have a session tomorrow with Graham Kerr on using analytics to evaluate your digital platforms and get customers. Majority of the focus tomorrow, I think, is going to be on Google Analytics. And then we have 2 sessions on search engine optimization for tourism businesses on the 25th at 10 o'clock and then the 29th at 10 o'clock. Tomorrow's 10 o'clock in the morning. Tomorrow's session is for 90 minutes and that starts at 2 p.m. Stephen, quick question then from one of the businesses that's represented today has said some of us have had no reviews for a considerable period of time, up to 14 months. Will businesses that have had no reviews as a result of COVID sink down the rankings, or will they all be as bad as each other, is what they've asked?
Yeah, I've heard about this. The time decay thing, the 1/T, the time decay factor, there's been a delay put into that, so there's an adjustment factor. But even if there wasn't, we're all in the same boat essentially. So it doesn't actually matter. But they won't. There's basically, it's like it's been frozen for 12 months. Nothing's happened. But even if they didn't do that, nobody's got any reviews anyway. So it's all the same. So yeah. What I would say though is if you don't have Google certainly had switched off the review functionality for a period last year. I think they've just recently switched it on again. It's worthwhile in this interim period before we were able to reopen. Definitely worthwhile checking back all your previous reviews and seeing any that you haven't actually responded to. You should be responding to all reviews, whether they're good reviews or bad reviews. As Stephen was mentioning, if you've had a good review, thank the person for the review and maybe mention something about the experience they had. So now is a good time to ensure, look back on all the platforms. If you're Tripadvisor, Google reviews, if you're on OTA websites like Booking.com or Expedia, you'll have reviews there too. If you're an accommodation business, make sure that all of those reviews have got a management response. Another question then, I have one person's got 4 holiday lettings trading under one business name. What's the best way to gather reviews under a company name instead of individual property? Any thoughts on that, Stephen? Yeah, holiday lettings not my. Obviously, you can't get listed on TripAdvisor, so you're not going to be in TripAdvisor. If you're under holiday letting and you're paying money, then you get listed on TripAdvisor. No, I'm not an expert in holiday letting, so I don't know. I don't know if Patrick's aware of a way you can consolidate them into an individual as opposed to an individual.
I think, sorry, just me jumping in. Sorry, I'm the part of the VisitScotland industry development team. So in answer to that, it's really how you market your holiday lettings in terms of how you would gather your reviews. So if you've got in the properties individually named and they're in separate locations, then it probably makes good sense to sort of create and in actual fact your visitors are very likely to put in reviews under those location names. So you might actually find that there are reviews out there already and you need to claim them by the names of the separate trading businesses' names. Yeah, but if you've got, say, 4 properties that are in the same enclosure, it's very likely that people will link the name of your property with the review. So it's one name, one business name will work. So it's very much how you market and how you pull that together. But you're not alone in terms of that piece. You just got to think about the visitor, because that's who you're really talking to on all review sites in terms of if they're looking to get reassurance that that place is where they would like to go, where they would like to see, has it got good sea views, where they're the great things that are about it, then it probably needs an individual listing. But you do need to be, balance it out in terms of what's best for you.
There was a similar thing with Facebook a while ago when Facebook only had profiles and they were thinking about introducing pages. In the interim, they introduced things called Facebook Places, So basically, every destination in the world had a place. Every castle was a Facebook place, and they still exist, a lot of these places. And I get that a lot of people saying, oh, people are leaving the review for the place, not the page. They're not, how do we sort that? There is a facility within Facebook to merge the two. So if you're a castle and there's a Facebook place, the castle that Facebook created, and you've got a Facebook page with a shop and everything, and they're leaving reviews for the place, you can merge the two. So if you just Google, how do I merge Facebook places and pages, people still have that problem. Slightly different from the holiday letting one, but it's just reviews on the wrong place, if you like. You can merge them.
Thanks, Stephen. Someone else has asked a question, and I did respond to the person in the chat section of GoToWebinar, but I think it's worthwhile mentioning this question to you. Any tips to encourage customer feedback? In the experience of this business, many folk suffer from feedback or evaluation fatigue, and getting people to respond to a simple, quick feedback form, the responses are quite low in number.
I mean, sounds silly, but asking for reviews, just asking at the destination, they've just finished, ask them. It means a lot to us. We'd love if you could review it. You can't force them. You're only going to get one review, so they're not going to do your upfront, your Tripadvisor, and you're only going to get what you have to decide. It's Tripadvisor or the Google reviews. It means a lot to us. On Google reviews, a lot of people have got lots and lots and lots of Tripadvisor reviews, but 2 Google reviews. That's the homepage of Google. It says 2, and you go, my God, we're a huge visitor attraction. What you can do is, sounds a bit naff, but you've got the database of all your customers. It's easier the ones with a Gmail address. Find people with a Gmail, email them and say, you visited us recently or in the last year. Your feedback means a lot to us. We'd love you to leave us a Google. Please click here, and you give them a link, and they click. They go, loved it. It's about 2 seconds. So just asking. It could be in a survey. It could be an email. If you see a positive mention of your brand, that's an opportunity to engage with someone and say, hey, thank you. I saw your tweet yesterday. That's really kind. That means a lot to us. We'd love you to leave us a review. That means the world to us. Because they've said to their pals, awesome place. It's on a tweet. They think they're tweeting their top 10 friends, the whole world, and you intervene and go, thank you for that tweet. That's so kind. It means the world to us, but so does a review. We'd love you to leave us a review. So, yeah, just asking. The reviews are important. And it is difficult, the review fatigue. I remember I stayed somewhere. It was a little place I stayed at, and the guy said, will you review it? And I didn't. I said, I'll do it when I leave, and I didn't when I left. But still, in the back of my mind, it was an amazing experience, but I'm not going to do it 1 year later, 1 month later. So try and get them when they're leaving.
Indeed. Lots of places you can ask for reviews too, from emails to invoices or receipts to word, face to face as they leave the hotel or leave your business, to social media as well. So loads of places. Have a think about where you're asking people for reviews and see if you can increase the number of locations or places where you're asking for reviews. I think that probably wraps us up for today, and we're rapidly running out of time. Thank you very much, Stephen, and thank you to everybody who's logged on today. We'll hope to see you again tomorrow at 2 o'clock for the session on analytics. And you can register for that if you haven't yet done so at bgateway.com/events. We'd also very much appreciate your feedback on today's session. businessgatewayfeedback.com, and the pin is F570 for today's session. And there's a little link there with the summary of the slides as well that you can download. We'll also send out an email to all attendees. In fact, you don't even need to download it just now, because we'll send out an email over the course of the next few days that will have the link to that the handout for today. So thank you very much, everybody, and we hope to see you again tomorrow. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Take care. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thanks, Andrew. Bye. Thank you.